and understand exactly what the serpent is doing with Eve here, because he's doing the same thing that we do with ourselves. He's asking the same questions that we ask ourselves. And if we can begin to understand how to defeat the serpent, then we can begin to understand how to have victory in our lives and how to find contentment. But look at what the serpent does. He gets Eve and Adam, who was with her, to focus on what they didn't have. But think about how silly that is. We just spent a whole bunch of time talking about what they had, the ideal creation, everything that was there for them. And what didn't they have? Well, he directs their attention to three things that they didn't have. If you read through, he starts out, he comes and he says, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Now, let's be honest here. The serpent is not stupid. He knew that wasn't what God said. But what's he doing? He's directing Eve's attention away from all of the other apple glorias so she will focus on the one. And he's saying, did God really say you can't eat any of the apple glorias? He said, oh no, he didn't say that. He said we just couldn't eat the one. Well, what's she focusing on now? She's focusing on one tree. One tree. Thousands of trees. All good to look at. Beautiful. In his amazing garden. Unlimited food. Good food. And what's Eve focus on? One tree. Well, then he also directs your attention to the fact that A, she's not like God, and B, she doesn't have the knowledge of good and evil. He says, you're not going to surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Now, step back for a minute and understand what's going on here. You go further in chapter 3 and you see this picture of God coming down in the cool of the evening to walk with Adam and Eve. And we imply from that this was not an uncommon thing, but a regular thing. Adam and Eve knew he was coming. That's why they hid. See, they had this unbelievable relationship with God in this beautiful garden. They had everything they needed, that God would come down and hang out with them. Now, if you could meet God at Starbucks every night and just sit and talk, do you think you'd gain some knowledge? Yeah, I think so. I imagine as they walked through the garden and maybe out of the garden and walked around all of creation and God showed Adam and Eve these different amazing things. They'd walk by a lion. They'd say, this is a lion. This is part of the cat family. And maybe he said, guys, I really want to stress to you, don't eat from that tree. Because if you eat from that tree, you're going to see this lion turn into this thing called a house cat. And you don't want that. No, he probably didn't say that. But I imagine they walked around and they talked about creation and they had questions like, well, God, how come the sun comes up over there and goes down over there? And he's like, well, it's not really like that. Actually, you guys are spinning around really fast and you're going around the sun. And they probably understood. Can you imagine what it would be to walk and talk with God? Just be able to ask him anything? And you go, oh yeah, well that's because of this. Oh, well that's because of this. And what does Satan say? Well, you don't have enough knowledge, Eve. One thing she didn't have knowledge of. The only thing they couldn't know about creation was the knowledge of good and evil, because God says you don't need that. That's not good for you. But Satan gets them focusing on what they don't have. And Satan says, if you eat that fruit, you will be like God. It wasn't enough that God had made them in his image. I mean, in all of creation, everything that was made, there is nothing that is closer to what God is like than man and woman. Probably woman. Nothing. We are the very image bearers of God. And instead of focusing on that, Satan says, well, you're not exactly like him. So Eve says, maybe I could be exactly like God. So what happens? And in spite of all of this amazing creation that they've been given, here you have Adam and Eve, and instead of focusing on what they have, which is immense and enough, they begin to focus on what they don't have. One tree. One little bit of knowledge. And being like God, which really is not possible anyways. And what happens? Well, they begin to focus, and the seeds of discontent are sown, and they take the fruit and they eat. Everything is lost. What a bummer. And you know, we sit here thousands and thousands of years later, and it's very easy for us to pass judgment on Adam and Eve. It's very easy to say, boy, how stupid were they? I mean, they had that amazing garden and they gave it all up. That was ridiculous. Why? They had so much. You know what? The moment we are born, we start doing the exact same thing. Have you ever been at a restaurant or a store with your children or your grandchildren, and you walking out, you've already bought everything, and they see this thing? Have you ever noticed the kids never ask for gum on the way in? Kids are smart. They know you don't have change yet. They see what happens in the store. You give the person at the counter some paper, and he gives you some coins. Why does he give you coins? He gives you coins so you can get gum. So you walk out of the store, and you come to the gum, and of course it always goes the same way. Can I have some gum? No, you don't need it. It's not good for you. Please, can I have some gum? No, you don't need it. It's not good for you. Please, 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 pretty please. The sugar. Okay, one piece. So, you know, your kid gets their piece of gum. That's pretty good. Can I have another? No, you've got one. But look at how many are in there, and they're pretty. And they taste really good. Just one more? One more. So, yeah, okay. Come here. They put their quarter in. One more? Please? One more? You've already got two in there. I know, but there's way more than two there. And look, they're shiny. One more. So, all right. Oh, that's good. Can I have one more? No, you don't need any more. Just one. You've got 3 pieces of gum in there. Yeah, but look, there's so many. Nobody else is going to eat them. One more. Oh, that's good. One more. Okay, you see where this is going, right? When is enough enough? My mouth is full of gum. But there's a lot more gum over there. Our lives, I'm sorry. Remind me to get that at the end. Our lives are so full